mom, ain't she the plum? My hockey mom, forever young, my hockey mom.
I said, don't play a card with her. I don't know card with this fucking everybody. I take a photo with I got everything. Yeah!
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Strap in and hold on tight. You just bought a ticket on a flight without a pilot. The Red Light District Junior Hockey Talk Show with the BS Boyz is about to clutter up the internet airwaves once again. Yeah, here they are. The broadcast crew that is mayhem behind the mic. The BS Boyz.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Red Light District Junior Hockey Talk Show, live from Felony Flats right here on the Pirate Radio Network, our home away from home, as it were. I'd like to thank everyone for tapping into the show tonight. For the most part, we're going to be talking about the playoffs since all three leagues have locked in their playoff picks. NORPAC has already started their playoffs, and we'll get into that in a bit. Just so you know, those that tuned in early, that one song, Hockey Mom. Another song this gentleman made very famous, the actual hockey song, Stompin' Tom Connors, passed away Wednesday night. He was 77. Natural causes, that's what was stated. He had a couple of really cool songs, though. He had Sudbury Saturday Night, Bud the Spud, and then, of course, the hockey song. But we really went deep into the archives to pull out the old Hockey Mom song. That was actually recorded live in 2005. Stompin' Tom passed away, 77 years old.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, I would encourage you to go out to YouTube and just do a search for Stompin' Tom Connors. And
he was awesome, man.
Yeah, he was great.
Just a rough, gravelly voice in that cowboy hat and that stomping left foot, which is where he got the nickname, Stompin' Tom Connors, because of that pounding left foot all the time.
It reminded me of John Wayne a little bit, too, the way he looked.
He had kind of a squinty eye look and kind of a gravelly voice. But, we lost an icon. Stompin' Tom Connors passing away at 77. So a couple things we want to talk about before we actually get into the playoff type stuff.
What's that, Steve?
Tri-Cities actually has an evaluation camp that'll be taking place May 17th through the 19th at the Toyota Arena in Kennewick, Washington. $125 will get you in the door. You get 3 games, 2 off-ice conditioning sessions, and 2 practice sessions. It's going to be limited to 30 skaters and 4 goalies, though. So if you're looking to play in NORPAC and you want an early look, Tri-Cities might be the place to go. May 17, 18, 19.
They just missed the playoffs this year.
They tied with Glacier, and we're talking about that in just a bit. A couple other things going on that we want to pop out there. The Southern Oregon Spartans, who made the playoffs in the Western States League, they're going to have a meet and greet down in Medford at Arby's, which is at 41 East Stewart Avenue, tomorrow, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. If you mention the meet and greet when you order up your food, you're going to receive a free value fry.
Nice.
I like the roast beef, the cheese roast beef, the Philly thing.
It's called French dip, I think, right?
That's probably what it's called.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, I love their sandwiches.
Yeah.
The king with a little bit of cheese.
Love Arby's. So go ahead and get your favorite Spartans autograph and enjoy some good mood food down there in Medford tomorrow. Meet the Spartans before they fire up their playoff run next weekend.
Should be a good weekend. Good time to meet the boys.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. Too bad for so far away. I could get an autograph from some goalies.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it be bizarre?
Here, just sign here, right here, son.
Yeah, sign this check. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's the other way. Here, Dad, sign this check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even a check anymore.
Give me some money.
Yeah, it's a text saying, hey, could you electronically deposit some cash into my account?
Is that possible so I can actually eat this week?
Yeah.
A couple other things we want to kind of talk about. We were watching a game, at least I was, and Special was watching the game from his place as well. There was a game going on Friday night, and for those of you that watch fast hockey, there's a sidebar used by
Facebook and Twitter.
And Twitter. Well, I don't tweet, so I just have the Facebook. But yes, you can tweet on there as well. Just some of the comments that were being made by people watching and listening to the game, I just found really sort of inappropriate.
They weren't called for. I mean, the gentleman down there that was doing all this stuff, he was working his butt off. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say it. It wasn't nice. I didn't appreciate what they were saying, and I would have said something on there had you not reminded me that that stuff's kept around forever. And if you bring that game up, we're not going to mention the game. Obviously, you can figure it out with yourself, but you will still be able to see those comments there. It's archived.
They go away after a while. I went back and checked Friday, and they were gone. Yeah, but some of the here the guy that's working for free, trying to bring you the game, and in this case, the guy was actually calling the game and working the camera at the same time, which is not an easy task, calling a game through a little tiny 3.5-inch monitor on the camera. Yeah, he's going to miss stuff. And if you don't really appreciate his speculation, his opinion, then, that's what announcers do. We call games for the Vipers, and that's part of the job. We sort of speculate what's going to happen, what's going to go on, but if you don't like it, just get angry, throw something against your own wall, but don't call the announcer a jackass on the Facebook sidebar. It's just uncalled for.
Yeah, it really is. And if you don't like it, mute it. And if you don't like it, get out there and do something about it, as far as give it a try yourself and see how easy it is.
Yeah, like it's real easy.
Yeah.
We've been doing it 5 years, and we still suck at it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that, it's really, a lot of people are watching the game. A lot of people have access to the Facebook sidebar. So just, don't call the announcer names. He's doing the best he can, for crying out loud. So you just have to cut him a break a little bit. And if you don't like it, mute it.
Yeah, exactly. They're not NBC level broadcasters. Yeah, they do the best they can.
Yeah, they certainly are just trying to do the best they can on an amateur level. So, because again, none of us do this for a living. We do this, for the passion of the game and a lot of fun. For those of you that have been trying to figure out where exactly West Sound is going to play, they've had a number of different listings. Somebody listed they are playing Friday's game in Missoula. Then we had a listing they were playing in Kalispell. Neither one is correct. They are playing in Whitefish, Montana, at the
Stumptown Ice Den. Yeah.
That's where they're playing. And I know a lot of people, we've gotten emails about it, and it has been partially corrected. They are playing in Glacier Friday night, but they're actually playing in Whitefish, which is a little north of Kalispell. For those of you that want a geography lesson of Montana, it's north of Kalispell.
I think it's by a big lake as well.
I don't know, never been there.
From Google Maps, I saw that. Yeah, looks nice. A lot of trees.
Yeah, Dallas Ice Jets. Holy criminy! Now this is not a team we cover at all. They're in the wrong division of the Western states that we usually talk about. But they laid an absolute thumping on the Wichita Junior Thunder, 23-1.
Outshot 93-14, 8 for 10 on the power play.
Thanks for participating.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And
I know there's a mic in front of you. Just use it.
Well, I just don't know when to say something sometimes. But I know.
It's the same thing my wife says.
Yeah. I know those two coaches. And while they may have won 23-1, I'm sure that there were some things that they pulled the boys back and said that they needed to work on a little bit.
I don't know. It didn't really look like much of a pullback to me, unless there wasn't a goalie in the other net.
Excuse me. I don't mean a pullback on the ice. I mean, they're pulling those kids on the bus or at practice, telling them some things that they need to work on after watching that game again. Very intense coaches, good people to play for and hang out with, and we'll probably meet them up if everything goes okay and it works out up in Idaho.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, Dallas is going to be More than likely one of the teams up there. We'll get into the Western States later on here. NORPAC, they're already in the playoff run here. They've already started their playoffs last Tuesday and Wednesday. Bellingham, kind of a surprise in Game 1, ended up winning 4-3 in overtime, and then ended up taking Game 2 3-0 the following night.
Yeah, I didn't think it was as much of a surprise because I had picked Bellingham to win the series, even though Eugene did make some really good moves towards the end of the season, bringing in Merritt and a couple goalies, and they were just looking really strong towards the end. But for whatever reason, I picked Bellingham to take the first 2 games at Eugene.
Well, Bellingham again, 4-3 at Eugene Tuesday night. Not a big penalty affair. They actually only racked up 35 minutes in penalties. Bellingham went 2 for 8 in the power play. Eugene went 0 for 2. So they only had 2 power play attempts, and they ended up scoring a shorty as well, Eugene. So shot-wise, Eugene outshot Bellingham 50-41. So a little higher shot count than I think both coaches would probably appreciate, especially at playoff time. You really want to limit those shots, but giving up 50 shots, that can't be making Collins too happy right now.
You expect your goalie to play well at the playoff, and he talked about both of his goalies, Foster and McDonald, switching back and forth throughout the year, and one hadn't really taken or shown that he wanted to be the number 1 goalie, and he ends up going with Foster and they get the win in overtime. Bellingham
definitely was, they were there to play. It was tied 2-2 after the first, tied 3-3 after the second, and then very quick, 5.5, almost 6 minutes into the OT frame, Derek Davis tallies the game winner. And so Bellingham at that point goes up 1-0, and thinking that they may have been, maybe doing some changes. Here comes Bellingham Wednesday night, ready to fire up.
Yeah, and they had a really good second period, scoring 2 goals. Tavola and Davis both getting a goal in the second period, and Wade getting the third and final goal of the game and shutting Eugene out with 34 shots, 34 saves by Mr. Foster.
And that third goal by Wade was a short-handed goal. Once again, penalty minutes low, 42, not bad. Shots a little bit lower. Bellingham 39, Eugene 34, so a little more acceptable on the shot total. Special teams, and we talked about just about all the coaches that we've ever talked to on this show. We talk about special teams and we talk about goaltending. And Foster, as you said, did come up big, 34 shots, 34 saves. Now Boyd played a very solid game as well. 36 saves on 39 shots, 3 goals, not bad. That's really not bad, but not quite good enough because right now, Cody Foster, with the 2 games played, he's got a 1.43 goals against and a 96% save average.
That's what you want in the playoffs.
Now, that's 2 games. So you really, not enough games to really lock the stats in, but absolutely you want a hot goalie right out of the gate, and Chris Boyd not too bad as well, 3.33, 91% save average. So sure, the goals against you probably want a little bit lower, but the save percentage is really there. Now the goals against has always been considered by many as a team stat, and the save percentage as a goalie stat. So the team needs to play a little better defensively in front of Boyd.
Well, and I think we're definitely going to see Foster in net come Friday night for Bellingham. And the way that Boyd has been playing, there's a really good chance that he's going to be in net too. He's had 2 solid games. They just haven't been able to capitalize and put more pucks past Foster, and especially last night getting shut out.
Well, Bellingham actually holds out of the last 6 regular season games, Bellingham, I believe, took 5 of those. So Bellingham's coming in on sort of a hot streak against Eugene.
Yeah, and if you go back and take a look at the scores and the wins for these teams, it's not favoring Eugene at this point up in Bellingham.
Yeah, what was the last meeting they had up there? I know Eugene I think they won in a shootout last time they were in Bellingham, 7-6. Is that right?
I believe it was, yeah. It was a shootout.
So it was a very, very close game, high scoring game. But if Eugene wants to stick around and try to get back to their barn. They better win these next 2 games. Well, actually, let's see. Eugene's in Bellingham this Friday and Saturday. Sunday, if Eugene can pull out 2 wins up there, then they go back to Eugene for the 5th and deciding game. You got to remember in NORPAC, it's the best 3 out of 5.
Right.
In Western States, it's 2 out of 3, and A-Dub is 3 out of 5. So Eugene, their back is against the wall. They have no choice but to pull out all the stops, let Merritt go nuts, let Christian do what he does, and try to put the puck behind Boyd.
And that's one thing that surprised me. I was expecting a lot more out of Merritt in the first 2 games, and he just was not there. Bellingham did a good job shutting him down.
And that's what they do. Yeah, cut tape. Figure out who's going to do what. You shut Merritt down, and Merritt, it was a late add-on at the end of the regular season, but Merritt has been tearing it up. And if you shut him down, now you still have Connor Bambico, who had a great regular season, high-scoring defenseman, but you still have, if one guy's not pulling the trigger, you have to have multiple people that can fill in. And right now, I don't think Eugene has found that person. And so Merritt really needs to, and he will. He's a competitor, man. That kid wants to win. And I'm sure we will see things out of him this weekend.
Yeah, well, they've got Johnson. Johnson, one of the
absolutely
big scorers.
Zach Johnson, yeah.
Yep. So you've got Ruchis, who's put up some points as well. They just need to step up, like you said, and get the job done up there in Bellingham, and it's not going to be an easy deal for them.
No, Merritt wound up, I believe, he got 1 assist in Tuesday's game.
Yep.
So, again, not that bad. I mean, you certainly want Christian in there, dishing off the puck and putting some points up. So we'll find out how that goes this weekend. Once again, Eugene at Bellingham Friday, 7:35 puck drop. Then Saturday evening, Eugene takes on Bellingham once again in game. Well, if Eugene wins, let's say that. Yeah. Once again, Eugene has to win Friday to have a game Saturday.
Yep.
So if there is a Saturday game, it'll be 7:35 up there in Bellingham, and you can catch all the action on fasthockey.com. I don't think Bellingham actually has an announcer.
No, they do not.
So you will be watching video with no sound unless they do something really special for the playoffs, which would be awesome. I'd love to have that. But nonetheless, you can tap into fasthockey.com and check out all that stuff. Then we had another set of games going on. Glacier was visiting West Sound.
Yeah, West Sound took the first game on Tuesday night 5-1 and extended their lead 2 games to none on Wednesday night 6-3 over Glacier.
Well, Tuesday they played first.
Yep.
Yep. Tuesday they played. West Sound took the game 5-1. Only 22 minutes and penalties, which is not a typical Yoakum Fault team.
No, that's not. It's usually like 120.
Yeah, they took 12 penalty minutes in their game Tuesday. Glacier went 0 for 4. West Sound went 2 for 5. So Glacier needs to kind of shut down that power play as West Sound was rolling on that. Shot total again a little bit high. West Sound 46, Glacier 30. So Glacier tallied first, and then West Sound went on a roll and ended up scoring 5 straight goals, two of those on the power play. West Sound, a tough team to beat up there in their home barn.
Yeah, Pidjanowski stepped up big time. He had a couple really nice goals in the game, one in the first, one in the second, and I watched him come off the bench on one of them and just took that puck across the blue line and put a nice shot past Tyson, who actually played really well. I mean, I know it says he had 46 shots, gave up 5 of those, so only 41 saves, but he played well in that loss up there.
Tweetmeyer got a couple of apples on that as well, on the Pidjanowski goals. Good to see Tweetmeyer racking up some assists. And again, West Sound won the regular season title in NORPAC, so they are really kind of the team to beat. Glacier tied with Tri-Cities.
Yes.
Tri-Cities got bumped because of the head-to-head during the regular season between Glacier and Tri-Cities. So Glacier made the playoffs, because you got to remember that Glacier played half the season over in the A-Dub and brought those 9 points they scored in the A-Dub over to NORPAC.
Right.
That's how they wound up being in the playoffs, the 4th seed, but down right now 2-0.
And if they don't step it up at home at Stumptown Ice, Den on Friday night. This could be their last game in the NORPAC. It's because next year they're heading over to the America West.
They will be in the A-Dub next year. Yep, absolutely. So this is going to be a big push for Glacier. In Game 2, that West Sound took 6-3. That was sort of, it went up from a very low penalty minute game in the first game at 22, jumping up to 107.
On 29 different penalties, too.
So if you kind of run through it, there's a lot of 10-in-game misconducts. You got a couple fights, a couple of unsportsmanlike. You got a butt end, by a Glacier player. I don't know if it's really frustration that was setting in, but the shot total was fairly low. West Sound 36, Glacier 26. And Huberty took the loss on that evening, and Wierzak took the win, taking 23 saves on 26 shots. Now, again, both those goalies, Wierzak's number 2 right now, has a 2 goals against and 92, we'll call it 93% save average. For Glacier, Mitch Tyson, 5 goals against, 89% save average. Tyler Huberty, 6 goals against, 83% save average. Not good numbers. Not for the playoffs.
Not for the playoffs. It's not going to get you past the first round. But there were quite a few shots, and a shot could be just a regular easy save, but when you've got people like Wilkins and Tweetmeyer coming at you all night long, Pijanowski, those guys are putting quality shots on these kids.
Yeah, Tweetmeyer ended up getting 2 goals in game number 2 in that 6-3 win over Glacier. Good to see Tweetmeyer back. I don't think he's 100% yet. I think he's still, coming back from that illness that he had with the spinal meningitis and the diabetes. Now, this kid living with type A diabetes, playing this sport, hats off to Tweetmeyer for coming back, really helping lead this team through the playoffs. It's
not easy. You've got to be checking your sugar levels all the time. You've got to be watching your diet. There's a lot of things that a regular teenager at that age or a young man at that age has to deal with, and just having that diabetes and playing at this level, that adds a whole nother layer to it.
Glacier ended up going 2 for 10 on the power play. West Sound going 2 for 11, so they both tallied twice on the power play. So game number 3 for these teams will be Friday in Whitefish, Montana. No place else but Whitefish, Montana.
It's actually at Stumptown. Glacier Ice is in Missoula.
So yeah, Stumptown. Yep, Stumptown. So even my sheet says Glacier Ice, which is in Missoula. Stumptown there in Whitefish. Puck drop 7:35, which is Mountain Time.
Yes.
So for those of us out here, you West Sound folks, that will be 6:35. All games carried on the A-Dub network, not Fast Hockey. So you have to actually go to the AWHL webpage and tap into their broadcast going through the A-Dub TV, not Fast Hockey.
And if you're not familiar with that, just go to Google or Bing, whatever your favorite search engine is, put in AWHL space hockey, and that will take you right over to there. The one thing I wanted to mention about both of these games that were up in the West Sound area is that you see a lot of different players scoring for West Sound, and the leading league scorer, Wilkins, ended up just having a few points in the second game, and I think 1 point in the first game. So they've got the entire team stepping up to help out with the scoring.
West Sound actually has a 3-1 lead on the regular season record versus Glacier. They won both games at Glacier 7-5, oddly enough, back on November 30th and December 1st, or it's the last time that West Sound ended up taking a trip over there to Whitefish. I'm not really sure what the weather's like over there right now, but it's probably a little bit colder than it is here. So we're keep tabs on what's going on in the NORPAC. They are the only league right now that's actually fired up the playoffs. So we're going to go ahead and take a real quick break. If you'd like to call, Special Greg is actually in front of the machine right now to take phone calls.
Yes, I am.
971-258-2840. You can certainly give us a call. And if you'd like to send an email, you can do that, bsboys@live.com. Boys with a Z. Love to hear from you. Otherwise, you're just going to end up hearing us chatter all night long. Going to be right back with you. Right here is April Wine. Enough is Enough. What a fun Canadian band this is. Be back in a bit.
Welcome back to the State of Confusion. And your hosts, as they are confused themselves, the BS Boys.
Nah, we're not confused. Not much. Yeah.
I love that. I love that show.
I kind of stopped watching that show a long time ago. Every now and then, there's certain things that pop up. I got to play that. That is awesome. April Wine, kind of a quick story, kind of off the hockey thing. I was working up in Canada early on in my career, and we were doing films like Gas, Scanners, Strange Brew, which is sort of like a cult, movie. A lot of people end up watching. I got to work on Strange Brew with Doug and Bob McKenzie of the Great White North. But anyway, ended up going to a bar. This is a little tiny dinky bar on St. Catherine Street, just sort of down from the Montreal Forum. And there were two kind of well-known bands, but not really huge yet.
Yeah.
One was April Wine, and the other was Triumph.
Triumph,
Yeah,
really?
that I got to watch on a very small stage, up close and intimate, and a lot of Molsons.
And lots of Molsons.
I do remember not remembering. That was sort of my entire career in Canada. I think I was there, but
you're not really sure?
Not really sure. I know I snuck into customs.
The dream scene?
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of like the... I remember I was detained one time by the U.S. customs agent because I matched a description of a cocaine smuggler, and I got taken into a very small room.
That's scary.
Yeah, very small room, and questioned, and they went through all my stuff. I'm going, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing here. I mean, I was still kind of hungover from all the drinking
the night before.
That didn't help.
Well, you guys are always saying that. What am I doing here? I'm innocent.
Back home. Yeah. So man, April Wine, fun band. Let's talk about A-Dub.
A-Dub, yeah, we've got our playoffs set. Helena clinched the first place with 44 wins, 2 losses, 2 overtime losses for a total of 90 points. They just rocked the season.
55 goals allowed all season long.
That's unreal.
Lazarski, Salinas was pretty much their go-to guy through most of the season. Then all of a sudden, Lazarski just boom stepped it up and played incredible near the end of the season there for Helena.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the stats, you've got I think it's Missoula with the second lowest, which was 152. So yeah, that's just unreal. Yellowstone ended up in a solid second place with 35 wins, 11 losses, 2 overtime losses for a total of 72 points.
Yellowstone being a former NORPAC team, left A-Dub, came to NORPAC, made the playoffs, got bumped in the first round in the playoffs, but really came back this year, back to the A-Dub. Kind of full of piss and vinegar. They played really well through the season.
Yeah, they did.
Am I allowed to say that on the internet?
You can say anything you want on the internet.
Within reason?
Within reason.
Well, that's a bad thing to tell me, man.
We've it's going out live, but you do the editing, and so you can add a couple beeps if you want, right?
They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Nothing. Well, do we have the time?
You just will say anything that comes to your brain, won't you?
Not anything.
There comes time.
There are
time.
things when I
you
do
have
hold
to
back.
Restrain and stop telling all my secrets. I quit. I'm going to mute myself.
You're going to mute yourself. Okay. Then we've got Gillette in third place. 30 wins, 14 losses, 4 overtime losses for 64 points. And Missoula, who's going to open up the playoffs against Helena, ended up with 28 wins, 18 losses, 1 overtime loss, 1 shootout loss for 58 points.
And then the remaining, Glacier didn't really count. Glacier, they're playing in NORPAC, but Billings ended up going 20 wins, 23 losses, 3 overtime losses, 2 shootout losses, 45 points. They did not make the playoffs. Had a really nice talk, though, with Chris Hartley.
Yes, we did.
A couple shows ago, the head coach from Billings. So wishing them the best of luck come next year. Great Falls, 16 wins, 30 losses, 1 overtime loss, 1 shootout loss, 34 points, 194 goals against. Is really tough to make a jump in the A-Dub. Goaltending is at a premium. If you look at the top tenders in the A-Dub, you really are looking at some solid talent. So all these teams, Great Falls is going to come back with a bang next year. And then Bozeman, 1 win, 47 losses for 2 points. They gave up a whopping 376 goals against and only scored 72. But if everybody knew how Bozeman started the year, they were gone.
They were?
They were leaving. They had no team. And sort of like kind of a Viper thing, but not quite. The entire league pitched in to keep this team in the league. And so expect huge things from the Ice Dogs come next year.
Well, let's hope that they are around next year. I don't think the league wants them to leave.
I don't think so.
If they didn't care, they wouldn't have put so much effort into keeping them this year.
Yeah, they have a solid league. I'm not really sure if they're looking to expand anytime soon. They certainly don't want to lose any teams, but I do expect bigger things from Bozeman. They're going to have a really good, hopefully, fingers crossed, scouting and recruiting season, trying to get some players in there to play.
Well, we talked to Butters a little bit about expansion too, and he told us that he's got teams calling him, right? But it's their choice if they want to do that. They can make that decision. They're not sure.
Playoffs, they had no games. Playoffs actually are the next thing up. This is called the Lewis and Clark Cup, which is kind of a cool name for a cup. We have the Cascade Cup in NORPAC. We have the Lewis and Clark Cup in ADub and the Thorn Cup over in the Western States. I like the Lewis and Clark Cup idea.
The Northwest theme, right? We've got the Lewis and Clark Trail out here.
We have tongue twisters all through this stuff.
Yes, we do.
Lewis and Clark. Wait, Cup Clark? What? Yeah, doing the best we can. So the first round here, we actually have the first seed, Helena, taking on the fourth seed, Missoula. Now, these guys opted to do the 1-1-1-1-1 format, alternating venues every other game.
And they can do that because they're within 250 miles of the arena, each arena.
Other. Yep.
So Missoula will start out at Helena on Friday night, 7:35 Mountain Time puck drop, and then on Saturday night, Helena makes a trip. Both teams head back to Missoula for a 7:30 puck drop.
Yes, continue.
And then on the 15th, Missoula is going to head back over to Helena for a 7:35 puck drop, and then Helena and Missoula heading back on the 16th. If needed for a 7:30 puck drop. And then if needed on the 17th, Missoula will make the trip to Helena for 5:35 puck drop on the 17th.
17th, huge day in my family.
Why is that?
St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, it is.
Yes, indeed. Real quick history lesson. Corned beef and cabbage was not an Irish tradition. They couldn't afford corned beef.
Potatoes.
That's an American thing.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all about the starch and the spuds. A baked potato is called Murphy with a coat because it has his jacket on.
Yeah.
Yep. So, corned beef and cabbage, that's an American thing, and I hate cabbage. I'll do the potatoes. I'll do the corned beef.
I hate cabbage unless it's a sauerkraut. Unless it's made in a sauerkraut. I love to put it on the sausages and hot dogs.
Oh, God, I hate cooked onions also.
Yeah.
Hate them. I like the raw onions, but no, I
that
can't
just doesn't make sense. I mean,
How
the
can it not make sense?
cheesesteak with.
No onions on the cheesesteak.
With. We still have to head down to the Big Al's Cheesesteak in Tualatin. It is pretty good. I had a couple of them. They make them with the ribeye.
Now flying back to Philly, going to go to Pat's or Gino's. That's or Philadelphia's here in the other side of Portland. Speaking of Philadelphia,
yes,
you know who signed a contract with the Flyers?
I do.
Yes, Anthony Stolars.
Who we interviewed, I believe, last spring, right?
Yep, we talked to Anthony right after being drafted in the second round by the Flyers, and he was off to college to play college. Next thing we know, college isn't for me. He's up in the OHL playing for the London Knights and inks a contract for playing with the Flyers. Now, he may not see a Flyer sweater for a long time, but he got a contract. Probably play, probably with ADub, American Hockey League, maybe down at the ECHL level. But good for Anthony, strapping on the old orange and black there for the Flyers eventually one day. Great kid. Now, the reason I remember that is because we were talking about tasty cakes and cheesesteaks with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's from that area. I think he's from
New Jersey.
Tom's River, which is towards the coast, the eastern seaboard.
Yeah. So good for Anthony to sign a contract with Philadelphia. Then we have the number 2 seed and the number 3 seed, Yellowstone being the number 2, Gillette being the number 3 seed in the ADub, and they have a schedule already out as well.
Yeah, they do. Gillette's making the trip to Yellowstone on tomorrow night, 7:30 puck drop. Then Saturday night, they're going to stay in Yellowstone, which is different from what the Helena and Missoula games are doing. So 7:30 puck drop in Yellowstone as well. And then on the 15th, Yellowstone is going to make the trip over to Gillette for a 7 p.m. puck drop. And these are mountain times again. On the 16th, 7 p.m. puck drop if necessary. And then if necessary, on the 17th, we'll have another 7 p.m. puck drop.
Yellowstone won the regular season series 6-2. One overtime win for Yellowstone January 24th, 5-4 at home. One overtime win for Gillette November 24th, 5-4 at home.
Close.
Kind of deceiving as far as the Yellowstone winning the regular season 6-2. That's going to be a great series. It's going to be a lot of fun to follow. Going back to the Helena real quick. Helena won the regular season over Missoula 7-1. And the only win Missoula got came on January 18th with a 1-4-2 at Helena. So they've won in Helena.
I think that was Parents' Weekend, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think it was. It was... who did we talk to? We either talked to Butters or AJ right before that weekend.
It was AJ.
And I felt kind of bad. I felt like we jinxed them. They ended up losing to Missoula after we ended up talking to him.
We do that, though.
Maybe
right?
that's why he doesn't call us anymore.
That, or he could be heavily medicated and sleeping.
I think he's actually traveling over to Missoula right now. Otherwise, we would have called him and put him on the air. But I think he's traveling to Helena for the weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we're making that up, and maybe he just didn't want to talk to us anymore. Once again, if you want to send us an email, bsboys@live.com, boys with a Z, love to hear from you. Or if you'd like to call and leave us a message, 971-258-2840 is our line of BS. That's the studio line. Going to the western states here, a little bit to talk about here. Not a ton, but a little bit more than the A-Dubs since they really haven't played for a while.
Well, they're finishing up their season this coming weekend, but last weekend was an interesting weekend.
It really was. We didn't have a lot of games going on. We actually had, Southern Oregon and Idaho and Salt Lake play out of the Northwest Division. Southern Oregon ended up going down to San Diego, playing March 1st, ended up losing the first game 5-1, which really was kind of unexpected. Here's the trouble. You bring a bunch of hockey players from Oregon to San Diego. How much hockey is actually on the mind for a while?
Well, let's see. San Diego
Mission
in
Beach.
March, Mission Beach, wave, surf, girls.
What was that last one?
Girls,
Yeah.
surf, waves, boardwalk. Well,
Girls.
they don't really have a boardwalk down there, but
They got that
park.
walkway.
Yeah.
So kind of a transition, maybe. 5-1. Spartans ended up going down to defeat against San Diego on Friday. Then on Saturday, San Diego kind of proved its point once again, ended up winning 4-3. Finally, game 3, either San Diego was tired or Southern finally said, enough of this crap. It's time to play hockey. And ended up winning the game 5-3 on Sunday. Now, here's the thing that happened Friday. We had a little bit of a disagreement between benches. Some don't know what was said. Can't really read lips, and the camera was a little bit too far away. But the coach of Southern just got a little angry, a little upset, to say the least. Ended up getting suspended 2 games. So he wasn't even on the bench for the Saturday-Sunday game.
No, for the rest of the weekend, he was gone. And I think there was at least one other player that was suspended as well.
Kevin Edwards was suspended in that game as well. Edwards, kind of an important player, has had a very solid season this year. And it was really kind of shocking to see kind of, going all the way down to San Diego and then the coach being suspended after the first game.
Well, and the camera guy did a good job catching the action on the bench as it was going on. There was a lot of stoppage going at that particular point. I wish I would have had one of the refs' mics so that we can understand what was going on.
It was really, and again, we're just going off of what everybody else is going off the video, and we don't know what's said. We have no idea what precipitated the incident. And we're not going to speculate on what was said. All we know what the end result was. He got suspended for 2 games, and he'll be back behind, obviously on the bench come next Friday, first game of the playoffs. So, they ended up taking 1 out of 3 down there in San Diego. San Diego fighting for their playoff lives right now. There was a huge kind of traffic jam between those in that division.
Yeah, and then Friday night, just continuing on with the other two teams that were playing that weekend, Junior Steelheads played the Salt Lake City Moose, and Junior Steelheads ended up winning 4-1 on Friday night, and then 7-3 against Salt Lake City Moose on Saturday night. So.
I think the I don't know, the scores may be a little deceiving. I thought Salt Lake actually played pretty well. They were hanging with Idaho for a while, but Idaho is so deep that they end up wearing you down. And Salt Lake did not make the playoffs. They ended up not picking up any points on Seattle, so they're pretty much done. They have games coming up this weekend against Ontario. But their season's over. Seattle has inked the 4th and final playoff spot, and we'll run through the standings here in just a bit. And I know it's not in our demographics real quick, but I'm going to let you know in the Pacific Conference, which is where San Diego lives, that's where they play. This is how close it is. Second place has 51 points. That's Valencia. Bay Area, third place, 50 points. San Diego, fourth place, 49 points. Ontario, 5th place, 46.
So those teams that are playing this weekend, they still can make
anybody
could all make
anybody.
Playoffs,
Yep.
yeah.
And Valencia has, let's see, they got 2 games left. Bay Area has 3. San Diego 2. So San Diego has to win the next 2 to try to overtake Bay Area. And Ontario has 3 against Salt Lake, and they got 46 points. So they need those points to actually make a big jump. But every other division, I believe. Let's see. The Pacific Conference only has Fresno in the playoffs. The Midwest Conference is locked. Dallas Ice Jets, Texas Brahmas, Dallas Snipers, and Tulsa Junior Oilers all made the playoffs. Mountain Division only has 3. El Paso, Boulder, and Cheyenne made the playoffs. Our buddy Mike Stanaway, head coach down at New Mexico, they got 3 games left, and they have to make a jump over Phoenix, and they're 3 points behind them. Huge games against El Paso. I don't know if anything's possible, man. Anything's possible. El Paso at El Paso. We'll see what happens with that. So 3 of the teams have made it in the Mountain Conference, and obviously the Northwest Division. All 4 teams have been locked in. Salt Lake is pretty much going home after this next set. But the way they ended up finished the regular season, how'd that wind up?
Well, no surprise, the Idaho Junior Steelheads ended up taking first place, 42 wins, 1 loss, 1 overtime loss for a total of 85 points. That's 32 points ahead of second place Southern Oregon, who finished with 26 wins, 19 losses, and 1 overtime loss for a total of 53 points. Interestingly enough, Southern Oregon gave up 172 goals and scored 172 goals. So, and then Ogden ended up in third place ahead of Seattle with 18 wins, 20 losses, 1 overtime loss and 5 shootout losses for 42 points. And Seattle ended up fourth place with 13 wins, 23 losses, 2 overtime losses, and 5 shootout losses for 33 points. And Salt Lake City Moose, as Steve just mentioned, 11 wins, 28 losses, 1 overtime loss, and 3 shootout losses for a total of 26 points.
I think Seattle, they had an okay season. I'm not real sure, Coach Murphy is real happy with the season they had, being in fourth place. They did have a really road-heavy first half of the schedule, but then they ran into a very hot Southern team who pretty much they dominated the series with Seattle. They ended up winning 11 out of the 12 games.
And I think at least 3 of them were shootout.
3 or 4 went to shootouts.
Yeah.
So they were very close games. Not to say that Seattle didn't put up a good fight against Southern, but they played them 12 times and lost 11 of them.
12 times by December or beginning of January. It was ridiculous how many times they played them the first half of the year.
They ended up playing at one point, I think, 6 games in a row.
That's not healthy for anybody at this level.
Well, you're gonna create a lot of animosity. You're gonna create a lot of kind of bitterness towards each other, and I end up seeing a lot of the garbage Facebook comments that kind of one team throws at the other team, and it's really immature type crap. But what really kind of is surprising, these guys are friends off the ice, I think. There's a couple I question.
Right.
Because Southern took a couple of Seattle guys. Seattle let them go
Before the end of the
regular season
deadline. Yeah.
So Seattle let them go. But you see comments being made like they're all pissed off, like they, how dare they leave? And, it's what's best for the player. That's what this league is about. All Junior A, Tier 3 is about betterment of the player. And if they want out, it's your job to find a better team or a team they want to go to. But all the it's like watching a bunch of little frickin' girls fight on cartoons. It's just stupid. I hate reading the comments.
Don't read them.
I have to. It's fun. It's the way I stay in touch. But, so I think Seattle, they have Fresno this weekend coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think I think they're going to do okay against Fresno. I think Murph really wants to go into the playoffs with a huge bump and run.
Well, they're going to have that bump and run, and they're going to have to be running on all cylinders. And most likely Fink's going to get the nod to start between the pipes.
He's had the nod all season long.
Yeah.
He has been the go-to guy for Seattle, and it's not going to change. He will be the guy between the pipes. It'll be his series to win or lose. He had a great series against Ogden, and ended up sweeping Ogden, and ended up getting a number one star of the league for it. So it's there, it's possible, and we'd like to see Seattle really take it to Fresno this coming up weekend.
Yeah, and all three games are going to be up at the Olympic View Ice Arena up in Linwood. Friday night's game is going to be Pacific time puck drop at 7:45. Saturday is going to be at 8 p.m. And then Sunday is going to be an afternoon puck drop at 2 p.m. And what you want to remember is the clocks get pushed forward 1 hour on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Yeah.
Spring forward, yeah. So we end up losing an hour. I hate this time of year.
It's a double-edged sword when we live up here in the Northwest, because we know when that happens, we're closer to a lot of sunshine and warm weather and rain going away, hopefully.
It hasn't been that bad, actually,
no.
this fall and winter. So
it was a beautiful day today.
Yeah, it was. I'm actually a big fan of fall and winter. I'm twisted and sick. I don't know what the problem is, but I really like that a lot. Going back real quick, Southern Oregon leads the league in penalties with 1,758. Now, a lot of those came pre-Grimaldi. He inherited a heavily laden penalty team, but that's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot of penalties.
He had a big challenge ahead of him. He had to come in, put a new system in, and new mentality on the players, and they turned it around within a week. It was a fun thing to watch happen.
It didn't take long.
No,
it really didn't. I think Grimaldi did a great job coming in and picking up the pieces, because the amount of players that left with Stanaway, seven.
Yeah.
That's the biggest 14-player trade, the biggest Western States Hockey League trade, I think, in history.
Yeah.
So he really had to not only bring a team together he didn't know, but deal with the political aftermath of all those players shifting, 7 to New Mexico, 7 to Southern. It didn't take long at all.
No,
it really didn't.
Think about that. You've got 7 players leaving, and you've got the other 13, 15 players sticking around. There's definitely some long faces and confusion on those kids in those kids' mind when they've got all that transition. A coach leaving and a new coach coming in, 7 other buddies taking off, 7 new kids coming into town. It's not an easy thing to transition to.
And they weren't really sure how many were actually going to stay in Southern. There was a huge string of messages and, are you leaving? Are you staying? What are you doing? The players that ended up going, were the top level Southern players at the time. And good for them. They wanted to go with their coach, and good for Southern for making it happen.
Yeah.
They let him go. And Grimaldi came in and kind of picked it up. So it is what it is. This is the team. I think this team will be a team to reckon with in the playoffs. It will be fun when they play Ogden first round of the playoffs. But continuing on with the games this weekend, we still have a few more teams involved.
Yes, we do. We have the Steelheads and the Ogden Mustangs playing on the 8th at the Ice Sheet at 7:30 puck drop Mountain Time. Then the Ontario Avalanche playing Salt Lake City Moose, 8:15 puck drop in Salt Lake City. On Saturday, 7 p.m. puck drop at the Utah Oval for the visiting Ontario Avalanche, coming in and playing Salt Lake City Moose again. And then Saturday night, Idaho Junior Steelheads playing Ogden Mustangs at 7:30 p.m. at the Ice Sheet. And then Sunday, we have one more game, Ontario Avalanche playing the Salt Lake City Moose, 11:45 a.m. at the Utah Oval.
And once again, the Fresno Monsters taking on the Seattle Totems at the Olympic View Ice Arena up there in Mount Lake Terrace on Sunday.
And then that's going to conclude their regular season.
Everyone's done. Southern's done. They have this weekend off. So they have a week to rest prior to the start of the playoffs, which is a week from tomorrow, March 15th. Remember, the playoffs are best 2 out of 3 in the Western states.
17th. I think it's the 17th, isn't it?
15th.
Oh,
Yep. 17th is Sunday.
okay.
That's St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
Yep. Ogden will be in Southern for the best of 2 out of 3. And Seattle will be in Idaho. Not exactly, I don't know, the first round opponent you want.
No, especially when you've got 239 goals scored for the Idaho Junior Steelheads, and Seattle's got 115, and they've given up 163, and the Junior Steelheads have only given up 95.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are definitely in the Steelheads' favor, but I expect Seattle to go in there and lay it all out, and they have to get by Fresno first this weekend, and then look forward to the trip to McCall, Idaho. And speaking of McCall,
yes,
Idaho, what do we got?
Well,
what do you think we got there, Special Greg?
Well, I think we got a little roadie coming up between us, taking off bright and early on Wednesday, March 27th for McCall, Idaho, where the BS Boyz have been invited to come up and participate in the festivities over the weekend with the Thorn Cup.
Yep, we will be doing. Well, we're not sure what we'll be doing, which is good for us.
We'll be driving up there.
We know we're driving up there. What basically it is, the Thorn Cup Championship, we will be doing our talk show live from McCall at the end of the game day. Once all 3 games are complete, we'll be doing a live version of this show from McCall, catching everybody up on what's going on in the Western States playoffs. And then we'll probably be filling in with between period stuff. And, you know, if Dick, the play-by-play announcer for Idaho, wants a break, then we may fill in a game or two doing play-by-play. But right now, our responsibility is doing this show live from McCall, starting when? When are we going?
Well, Wednesday the 27th, they're going to have a welcome there. We're not going to be doing a show, but we may be doing some interviews.
Yeah, we'll be doing a show.
We'll be doing a show.
Interviewing people, yeah.
Interviewing people.
Wednesday night.
Then Thursday the 28th, Friday the 29th, Saturday, and then finishing it up on Sunday. And then once we wrap it up, jumping into the Acura, heading back down to Portland.
Yep. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be, I don't know, having some fun in McCall. The games will be fun. I think the after game stuff is going to be even more fun.
That's going to be a blast.
That's kind of my thinking about this whole thing. So that's the playoff. I don't know, early playoff edition of the Red Light District Junior Hockey Talk Show. Talking about who's doing what live every Thursday night right here on the Pirate Radio Network. Again, you can always email us, psboysalive.com. You can always call and leave a message because we love that as well. And we're check out all the messages. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us on this lovely Pacific Northwest evening. right here from Felony Flats, which
Yeah.
is odd.
Thank you
No
for joining
gunshots, no sirens, no skidding cars. I think we're safe to go home.
We better do it quick.
Yeah, we may have to run out of the building. So that's going to wrap it up, folks. Once again, we'll be back next Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard. Well, no. Is that Daylight Standard Time at that point?
Pacific Daylight Time.
So
PDT.
Yeah, PDT. Back here next Thursday night, folks. Thanks for joining us. Always love having you on board. Safe home, everybody. Take care.